Hey, JJ.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. Yeah, just waiting for humans to show up. I see a lot of note takers, so high almost note takers. This will be recorded.
Yep. Do you want me to mention the Terraform plan that I've created, or do you want me to wait till that's like 100% good? Because it'd be nice to have some feedback.
Yeah. So no, let's add to open forum, JJ. So if you can. So yeah, feel free to mention open forum and just of course let the community know this is early, but I think it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to add it to the top if you want.
Okay.
Hello. Hey, Chris. Thanks for joining. Nick, just give folks a few minutes. Nick Allen, welcome. Hey, people are coming in. Yeah, let's just wait another minute. When we hit 30, we get going. Okay. Almost there. Okay, we have critical mass, so let's get started. Thanks everyone for coming. JJ will kick us off today, and we go from there. JJ?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. I'd like to welcome us to the llm-d weekly community meeting. My name is JJ Asgar, and I'm one of the community architects of the project. Never forget, you can always ping us if you ever need help. Our job is to help make sure the community moves forward and there are no blockers on that side. Just a reminder, there is a code of conduct for this community. It is linked inside of the community meeting notes. If you have not taken an opportunity to read that, please take a moment. TLDR, be awesome to one another, and everything is great. Then also, I'd like to make sure that everyone has joined our community Slack workspace. That is where we try to do everything in the open. And please go ahead and if you've not join it again, or join it for us, and then we can communicate through there. And then also don't forget about the LLM contributors Google group. As soon as you actually join the Google group, you'll get access to all the notes and the workspaces, also the previous recordings of these calls. So if you're ever curious about that kind of work, you can kind of go through there. And please, again, be awesome to one another. And Carlos, it's back to you.
Very good. Thanks, JJ. So yeah, so for folks joining first time, this community is very open. We always start with like an open forum. We always kind of list a few kind of topics ahead of time. So you see some of these lists, but we wanted to start with anyone that might have a topic that's not listed. It can be any feedback, complaint, anything like that. This is a growing and early stage community, so we take any feedback. So in that spirit, before we go through some of the topics, is there anything from the community that anyone wants to raise here? Feel free to chime in. Anything? Okay, Very good. So we do have some kind of seating topics there. So I'll just go over through a few things and then we can debate. Again, feel free to chime in anyone, and then we go to SIG updates as usual. There is one from JJ on the Terraform update. So I don't know, JJ, if you want to cover this one.
Yeah, just real fast. Part of my job is engaging with the community. Adoption is always a challenge for people when they're trying to play around with a new technology. So I've gone ahead and created a Terraform plan that leverages IBM Cloud on the back end to spin up the Kubernetes cluster and then injects llm-d and all the dependencies into it. It is very early days, but I've gotten it working with the CPU side. I'm working on the GPU side with CUDA and whatnot as we speak, but it is pretty solid. If you are an IBMer or have access to the IBM Cloud, I would love for some feedback on this. It is, again, early days. It's not production or 100% by any standard, but it's at least a way that we can eventually get to our community where they'll be like, run Terraform apply, and then run the bash script afterwards, and then come back in 30 minutes, and you'll have llm-d running for you, so you can actually interface with it on a actual distributed cluster. I figured this was valuable to the community, and hopefully very soon the GPU side will also be there too. So then we're going out like gangbusters. I'm planning on also getting Google and AWS in the near future after the fact, but I want to get IBM Cloud running first because that's the one I have full access to. Cool.
Great. Thanks, JJ. Yeah, so if you can document like expectation for like when you support other environments, I think that would be good as well. And hey, if there is anyone in the community that can and wants to help, just extend this. Of course, you're more than welcome. Any question for JJ? Okay. Yeah, in the spirit again of just like highlights and hot areas, I try to kind of capture like where we're spending a lot of like attention this week. So I have the kind of 3 shout outs that I wanted to capture for the release. So this past week, a lot of progress on SLO support. We actually seen some kind of major performance benefit for single workload. There was actually a bug that has been fixed, but now this for single workload specifically, where we start for 0.3, and then of course we'll expand this to multiple workloads. I don't know if Clayton is here. I can give, yeah. So the team made a lot of progress. Just want to give them the opportunity to kind of talk in more details. I'll give you like the highlight, and then maybe in 6 we can double click. So the takeaway again, I mean, support is coming, solo enablement. Performance numbers is showing like a 2 to 3 times the TFT and TPOT gains, which is great. This is especially important for models of service environments. So as this community start to kind of branch out more towards that use case, is something that you expect will resonate a lot. So keep an eye on this, and we'll make sure that we highlight in our 0.3 release and blogs and all of that. So something for you all to know. We are very excited about some of the initial numbers that you're seeing here. The other one quickly, and I'll let Marcia then and Neil expand on the details, but in the spirit of, again, having this kind of end-to-end benchmarking validation, we continue to really kind of push very hard on the overall llm-d harness, including load generators, things like InferencePerf, for example, which we're using very, very heavily now. And by doing so, we also expose issues in the validation pipeline itself, right? So there was something that we found when doing end-to-end benchmark. It was not consistent, was affecting overall numbers. There is a bug fix in place, and we're moving forward with that. And this should allow us to kind of reduce some of the other numbers. Why I'm mentioning this? Because again, so important to have more eyes and more people trying different parts of llm-d, and even the parts that use for validation itself, right? They also need to be tested and validated. So something very important that, again, I welcome the community to try and give us feedback. And we're drinking from our own champagne for a good reason, and we're exposing things that can be improved. Finally, very quickly, before I get into details, white EP. So remember that this is a very big feature that we're going after. There's progress on DBO is taking a little longer than expected. Single node's functional. There is still some issues in multi-node, so work in progress. And then when you try this on different hardwares, like it's a mixed bag sometimes. B200s continue to be like somewhat like stable, so more work happening there. And this is my quick overall update, and then we double click in a little bit. Before we go there, I think, Alan, you have a topic here. And I guess the question is already there, but I'll let you phrase the question. Okay. So I assume this for target date. So target date has been the 31st of August. We're struggling with some issues, just again, alignment with upstream like we did last time. And the other piece is actually hardware dependency. So one thing, yeah, okay. Yes, we push like as further out as possible. So probably like we have to kind of adapt this data a little bit. One of the reasons is hardware support. Okay, so remember that core value prop for this community is be able to support, of course, different hardware providers, right? And there's a lot of work for 03 to make that happen. But again, there are some issues that we're not anticipating. So long story short, you might want to push out the release a little bit to make sure that we go out to something that it's very unique and central to the value prop of llm-d. We'll keep the community posted, and of course, welcome feedback as well, just like what we go out with in these releases, how we adapt when you see things that depend on the broader community, because there are many, many players involved here, and this is by design, that's why we wanted, but also add some complexity, right? Make sure that you align with the upstream contributions and what others are bringing to the table in terms of hardware support. I hope this helps, but yeah, so right now, end of the month, it can be pushed out. That's the short answer. And for the future release cadence, the plan has been, of course, to do this monthly. Because early days, there are so many moving parts, we're allowing some flexibility. And I think that's not a bad thing. It allows us to do, I don't know, adjust better the release to needs and what is going on in the community. We'll continue with the official guidance of trying one release a month. So 04 would be September release and so on. But again, something that to continue to adjust. I hope that answers.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is my audio working now? Cool.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Not anymore. So,
my bad. Just curious, are these dates, is this just to keep a pretty decent clip of progress, or are some of these dates hard? It would be good to know. We're trying to improve the transition from upstream to downstream, because we're kind of tightly linked right now, which is fine, which is great, but I just want to try to make that as smooth as possible. So
thanks, Colin. I think that's actually a very, very good question, and a lot of us here relate. So right now, the dates is mostly for like, again, keep the community very active. But hey, a lot of people actually pay attention to this project, and from many sides, actually, including IBM's one as well, we are starting to look very closely like production and dependencies. So yeah, we accept like input from players, and of course you guys, what are the dates that you need to hit and things like that. We can try to align. Right now, we're not paying attention to this because we're not at that stage yet. I think we're getting there. llm-d is getting to more like a production path in many places. So, Colin, if there are like hard dates that you guys have to hit and things like that, please raise to us, the maintainers, and of course we're trying to align. Right now, we're not using any of that information.
cool. Yeah, no, that's fine. It's just it's just upstream. Sometimes if we need to push a date, that can affect llm-d. I know, and it's just good to know which dates are going to be firm, which dates are soft, etc.
Okay.
So,
okay, sounds good. Yeah, so just one final comment here. I'm sorry. We are kind of tracking some of this cross dependency upstream in the document. I'll point it to you, Colin. So if there are like any changes, we always kind of can refer to that one and then understand like the cascade impact. Okay.
cool. Sounds good.
I just had a comment, Carlos. I don't know if we want to get into this whole discussion, like fully, or if we're just going to say we're deferring release date and that's good enough for now. But I think, as you were saying, the hardware support is the key feature that will determine that date. And I think what we're looking at right now is middle of September for Google at the latest for TPU access and testing. They've said hopefully they'll get it end of August, and that could slip up to 2 weeks. I think we're facing something similar or later with ROCm AMD as well. So I don't know if those help us pick a specific date.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Yeah, I think some of these things were like open, and now we're getting like some hard dates. I think we make that call later, and we decide like whether to go with something partial. But being that the case, of course, this kind of delays things a bit, which I think, my opinion, and community here can also chime in. Very important, right? Again, hardware support. I keep repeating this, but this is a very, very unique value proposition, so you don't want to deviate from that. So yeah, and we make sure that we work with the providers to, the soonest date available, but again, what is possible. Thanks, Greg. Probably can continue this on the release forum, and that's an open forum, by the way. Anyone can also come in and see where we are and issues that come up, and have a kind of daily basis update if you want. Okay. Anything else for open forum? All right. So let's move on to SIG updates. We have a long list as usual. Maybe back to you, Greg, on SIG installation.
Yes, so we're working on the 0.3 redesign. Like the core concept here is we want to like rip out the installer and curate a series of Helm files for everything from your gateway provider to also the examples themselves to make it more consistent. Please take a look if you have time. There's been some comments already, but we'd love any feedback people have, even if it's just, hey, the experience is not good and this is not going to solve that, or maybe it's positive, who knows? But whatever comments you have, please leave them there. We've been working on better CI coverage and testing, and we built out some end-to-end happy paths, which we hope people will, give some attention as well. This will help us kind of keep things regression tested. We're seeing some issues pop up, and so kind of really working those into the default pattern of development will be pretty key. And then finally, we removed this hacky K-gateway proxy UID workaround that needed to be run for any Kubernetes environments with like restricted security context, specifically OpenShift, but people were running with strict requirements anywhere else, it would also have an effect. Go ahead, Nir.
Is it the right time to talk also about the LLM infra repo, about the examples?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah. So basically, there is some. I think it's an issue, but I'll raise it here. The examples repo is tightly coupled with the last release, and I think this is a kind of a problem because recently I wanted to update one of the examples to use to update latest changes in inference extension. So I have an open PR, but then we cannot merge that PR because then it will break the current examples that are pointing to previous llm-d release. And that's kind of problematic. I think the LLM infra repo should have the release cycle, and I think it should be also coordinated with the other llm-d releases, because eventually those examples are pinned to some version. And we cannot expect main to always point to the previous version because we want to keep main as a moving target. We want to keep updating the stuff there to work with latest things and not to wait until the first release candidate and only then update. Yeah.
Baru?
I want to second that with a recent example of the infra breaking on a gateway upgrade. So, like right now, we don't have working examples for some users, and we don't have any stable version.
I think you guys are totally right. This is a key issue. 2 points that I just wanted to make really quickly. One is that with the V3 redesign, if there's any, I'm guessing those pieces that were breaking were related to the gateway infrastructure. Is that correct, Nir?
You mean
like the templates produced by infra rather than anything from the model service or upstream GIE charts. Is that correct?
it could be the upstream GIE, the code itself in upstream GIE, right? It could be like we did a rename of a scorer, right? So it's not only the gateway; it's also the gateway inference extension that it encapsulates some of the plugins that we take from Kubernetes upstream and use it in llm-d. So we need to make sure the examples are somehow in some way. I proposed one way. One way is to do versions, but there are multiple ways to make sure the examples are pinned to a version and that we can keep updating main, like the same as we do with llm-d scheduler. We can update the Go mod file to point to a different scheduler, to a different inference gateway version. It could be pseudo version, and then we can keep it as a moving target and not leave everything to the end.
Yeah, thanks, Nir. We might need to just continue this on the SIG, but thanks for raising the issue. I agree this is important, so let's make sure we converge to a way to operate this more smoothly. Very good. So can we go to your next one, Greg, with the SIG seed?
Yeah. So basically, we have enabled GitHub Action builds for the llm-d image itself. We still need people to test this out and use those images and ensure that there are no bugs. We think we found one with Song. We need to test this image today to verify. But please start putting PRs in there, rebase against main or dev, so that way we can get this action in there and you can start testing on open PRs. In that same vein, we've also enabled upstream golden commit VLM wheel builds. This will publish to a public index, so you can go look it up and install it locally, or kind of just include that version that you want into the llm-d image build, and you should be able to use a custom image. These are fairly expensive, so if you need one, please ask an admin, and they will kick off the process for you. I will update some documentation on how they do that, but we can start using this if it's important or will help speed up release process.
Great. Thanks. So that's on CI/CD. Let's move on to inference scheduler. Lily or Abdullah?
Yeah, so the inference gateway release is supposed to be today. I understand that there are some issues, but Kellen or Nir can expand more on that. It's supposed to be today. Kellen?
Yeah, I'll take that. We're just waiting on the API review. It's in progress. This is just for the inference pool V1 release. I'm not sure. I'm gonna poke harder and see if that stops in RC. I mostly want to cut in RC so that we can start to test with the our frozen binary. So I think the review can continue. Obviously, we'd have to cut a new RC if we change the API, but a lot of the performance the performance testing would remain the same, regardless, of the API changes. So, anyways, goal is to cut today or tomorrow.
Good. Nir?
Yeah, just to add on top of that, I think, so the current release candidate is blocked on the API review. I assume, and Kellen, correct me if you think otherwise, I assume it's going to be the API review completed either today or tomorrow, and therefore my personal preference is to wait and do the release candidate, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, but do it right.
That's fine with me. And if we are pushing O.3 to mid-September, that was our biggest deadline we were trying to help meet. I think that's okay. I think a little time is fine.
Okay, so let's say tomorrow. In parallel, we are preparing for the release of the scheduler, tracking issues, cleaning up stuff. So we are on track of that. And of course, waiting for the inference gateway release. as Carlos mentioned, we are in the process of writing a blog on the inference scheduler, and we did some benchmarking. There were some issues with the load score. It gave bad results in comparison to random score, which was very, very strange. And we tracked some bugs, some in VLLM metrics, and others were in the benchmarking tool itself. So working on these two issues are being handled on both areas. So as Carlos mentioned, it's good to do benchmarking, and it's good also to keep an eye on all the other parts and understand where the problems are coming from. If you see something that please raise that. Due to a change that we've discussed in Inference Gateway, there is no ability to do an override of the name of a scorer. So we combined the estimate prefix score and the precise one. Now there we are going to split them again, and the precise score will have a new name. I think that's it on our end.
Great. Thanks, Nelly. Yeah, always like a lot of things happening. Maroon for KV disaggregation.
Yeah, so progressing on release targets. The VLM native CPU offloader PRs are still open. I think they won't make it. They might, but we think they won't. And chat completion is being promoted to an end-to-end example and will follow in the inference gateway.
Great. Yeah, the chat completion being finished. It's great. So thanks, Maroon. Benchmarking. I don't know if Ashok wants to take the lead or Marcio.
Yeah, I can go the updates. So we made like a significant documentation overhaul, mainly in time for 0.3, we want to make sure benchmarking instructions are clear. Marcio did a great job putting that together. Please take a look, and if you have any feedback, let us know if you had any trouble running through the steps there. And we have valid paths, especially like YDP and other things that were added to other parts that we want to make it easier to deploy on llm-d benchmark. So those changes are in as well. And last one, we initially started with bash script for setting up the stack and kicking off benchmarking. So those are being moved to Python to make it easier to manage in the longer run. Those were the 3 main updates. And one last thing, we're also working with other SIGs who are running benchmarking and trying to help out with any issues that they encounter and make sure we have smooth runs.
Thanks, Ashok. Yeah. So this is a very active SIG, and it's just great to see like the cross collaboration. I think that there's a lot of work here. So great to see the progress. Observability, Sally.
Yeah. So we took out all of the observability stack in the installer script. It really didn't belong there, and so that's much cleaner. And there's a new script if you want to try it out, just to install Prometheus Grafana on a vanilla Kubernetes. There's an option to deploy that as an individual or as a central stack. I've been running when it works, and then I'm trying to get a central landing place for our dashboards, because there are a few people from the community who have dashboards to add, but there's nowhere to put them. So that's 164. If you could take a look, it's right now I think a good place is just in the llm-d repo. Eventually we can move it to its own place, but please take a look at that. And then there's an open PR to add service monitors for the EPP pod. It's been difficult to test that because, depending on the welllet path, you're either deploying with the upstream GAIE charts or the model service charts, and it's very confusing for somebody to figure out that. And I'll work with Greg to get those tested so that it can merge. And we're working on a POC for some auto instrumentation for tracing. We're trying to get like as minimal code changes as possible to get some tracing by 0.3. So hopefully next week we'll have a demo for that.
Great to see them. Yeah, thanks a lot, Sally. Yeah, a lot of progress here as well. Okay, auto scaling, Abhishek.
Yeah, sure. So we're trying to test the efficacy of core algorithms in autoscaler with H100s and different models. So the team is working hard on testing the fit, if you will, of the optimizer and the input that the model analyzer is providing. We are also working on the control plane aspect of the autoscaler, wherein we are trying to remove direct patching of replica and have an integration path with HPA to begin with, using some of the HPA's alpha feature. So we have that designed now, and we are running some integration test for integration with this HP alpha features.
Great. Thanks, Abhishek. Yeah, I touched on like the SLO piece. I see that Clayton, you joined. I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit. It's super exciting. So I don't know if you want to just to give a quick shout out to the community.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been working on for a while is a model that kind of integrates the costs of what an incoming request would be, because obviously requests are all different, but then we know that the hardware and the software in each model server is going to have nonlinear multidimensional reactions to that. So, some servers are going to cap memory, very quickly. Some models may result in, compute being higher, and there's a lot of ways to go, generate hundreds of parameters that we can tune individually, or you could throw ML at the problem. And so the team's been working on some attempts to, derive an online model, which has a lot of advantages, right? If the hardware fails, or if you change a config param and you forget to update your constants, performance is going to change. And so the idea of having an online simple ML model that's predicting kind of the effective cost, but also looking for when those costs don't match the real world, allows us to kind of move up a level. Instead of having to write a bunch of functions, can we look at the cost of each incoming request, model it, capture the data, and keep that model up to date online. Some of the early results for multi-workload were good. The team did a focus on single workload, and in some scenarios, maybe not all, we get really good results. They're almost too good, which is, no result that's too good you should trust at first glance, but we were getting like 3x TTFT improvements in some very extreme long input, short output scenarios. So I think we wanted to prioritize, there's a lot of different ways we can deliver the feature. What we wanted to do was focus for 0.3 on getting a version out that was very simple, that didn't depend on the API changes or multiple workloads, but showed off and allowed people to test in that range of conditions, and get experience with it before we, as other features start building up around it, like multiple workload support for detecting when, you're saturated, or fairness between workloads. So it's pretty exciting. Hopefully we'll get that out and people can get an early peek of it through llm-d, and then feedback will be really important there.
Great, super exciting. I think the incremental path, makes a lot of sense. I know that you're out of time, so thank you all. I'll be back next week. Again, as usual, feedback, complaints, anything, feel free to chime in on Slack, and I see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.